Hi everyone and welcome to Budget on Campus right here on ET Now. I'm Avanne Dubash. Today we're at the Jain School of Global Management in Mumbai, Lower Parel. We want to get a pulse as to what the expectation is from the upcoming budget. Are there going to be populist measures? What do people want to see in terms of income tax? Remember, in the run-up to the elections as well, we want to know if the finance minister is going to dole out any great measures, especially given the fact that there has been quite a bit of investor apathy post-demonetization. So who better than the students and very eminent faculty at the Jain School of Global Management to find out what exactly we're expecting. So thank you all for joining us today. Let's just understand, after the kind of year that we've seen gone by, what was doled out in the budget last year. So if you could start with what you would want to hear on the 1st of February.
So, my name is Professor Tarun Pasricha. I teach in the marketing and strategy area at the Jain School of Global Management. Well, I think there's no guessing what this budget is going to be. It's a major budget just before the general elections. So one can look forward to a lot of SOPs, particularly to those sections of the society which voted against the BJP in the recent state elections. So I'm expecting a lot of agricultural and farmer-related SOPs, and also on the trading front, the traders who are the backbone of the current government, they should expect to see a simplification in the GST process, and a lot more traders would come under the composite scheme where they would just pay a flat GST rather than a very high rate. So these are my expectations from the budget.
Yeah, that's some crucial points that you brought up. And you know, in the kind of commentary that we've been hearing out as well recently from the finance minister, they have been hinting at those farm loan waivers. Is that something that you would like to see stress on, and what would you want to hear?
First of all, I'm Aditya Narvekar. I'm professor with the data science program here. In terms of the budget for this year, like Dr. Pasri just said, we expect some populist measures that are coming since we have the election coming due. Now, what I would like to see is better fiscal consolidation. The Fiscal Responsibility Act of 2003 states a target of 3%. So the previous 2018 budget, we didn't see any signs of fiscal consolidation. So I would like to see a budget that supports growth, but at the same time focuses on some fiscal consolidation, because that's important in the long run in order to get better ratings from the credit agencies.
Okay.
So I would like to see a move towards better fiscal consolidation.
So how do you think we're currently looking at the overall macro picture, you know, on a rating of say 1 to 10, 10 being the best? Where do you think we stand currently?
In terms of ratings, I think we are a little far off from improving our credit ratings.
Okay. Simply
because we are far from the medians
right.
Of BBB minus. So it's going to be a while before we can improve.
So, but on 1 to 10, where are we tipping towards, you know, in terms of the overall macro picture for India right now? Are we looking good or not?
I would give it a strong 5.
A strong 5. Okay, let's pass the mic at the back as well and understand what else are the expectations and what we're looking to hear. Maybe from the students as well, just want to get a pulse as to what you're expecting this time around.
Hi, Viranchi Purohit here. I'm part of the Executive MBA program.
Okay.
I think I do concur with the professor here with the BJP looking to go for a second inning. We expect that they'll go for some populist measures, which is quite contrary because this is an interim budget.
Yes.
So you expect that the so-called incumbent government goes a little conservative, but I fully expect that they'll be putting out some SOPs, especially focusing on agriculture, also affordable housing. There are talks about maybe affordable housing being redefined from 60 square meters to 120 square meters. So I think for the large middle class as well, because if you put money back into the hands of the middle class, and also especially with the public expenditure, there are a lot of opportunities here in India. There's only one way to go, that's up.
So would you like to as well give us your views? Anything, I'm curious as well, maybe we can hear some comments, because I know the startup industry is, got their ear to the ground with respect to what is going to be announced. Anything on that front, and what do you want to hear on the 1st of Feb?
Yeah, hi, I'm Professor Abhijit Dasgupta, and I teach in the data science program. My view about what to expect is I think the government would definitely go first, take some populist measure because this being an election year, but it's not going to be firmed up. So in the short term, I think there could be certain subs given to the income tax area, some improvement in the minimum support price for the agricultural sector. I think these are the two principal drivers, I think, which is going to help probably the government win the next election. But over a long-term perspective, my view is that the government is going to push very hard on the innovation A. B is social and financial inclusions, because today we just have about 5 to 6 crore Jan Dhan accounts. I think that's going to be taken to something around 20 crores, and I think that's what's going to make a lot of difference. Two primary areas, and I think the third would be to ease up the interest a little bit, so push it down as much as possible to improve the investment climate and overall make the access to capital easier so that investment improves a lot.
I'm curious to know as to what you guys want to hear from the budget this time around. So go ahead.
So I'm Swapnil Wag. I'm chartered accountant and working. I'm actually studying in executive MBA batch and working with SMEs so closely that I know in and out for the SMEs and their finances. So major problem is not demonetization or GST. Its effects are major issues because government is trying to ease the effects of GST and all. The thing happened is they happen back to back. Like demonetization after within 6-7 months, then GST rollout, because of which SMEs are facing cash crunch. So most of them shifted on barter exchange also. So you give me some goods, I'll give you some goods. But whenever big companies and consumer enters the chain, it gets break, and because of which they are facing cash crunch. So major expectation from this budget is government will ease the subsidy of SMEs. Again, they will lower the interest rates and push some funds in the market for SMEs to play their role and to work on their strategies and businesses. So that are major expectations from the SMEs front.
I'm so glad you brought that up, and you said you work closely with these SMEs. Can you give us a sense as to, you spoke about the double whammy effect of GST, DEMO, etc. How much has business been affected for some of these SMEs, and is it going to be a long road ahead before they can get back on track?
Yeah, they'll take time to get back on track because economy gets disturbed within a period of 1 year, 2 year, 3 year, and it takes time to recover. As I told you, I'll give an example. One of the person who is into business of selling furniture. The furniture market in India works on the cash basis, and suddenly because of demonetization, all money has gone away. So he's sitting with the stock and lot of debtors, and again the creditor because he's debtor for someone. So in this chain, he can't do anything. He's stuck with his basic expenses of rent, salaries, and other things, because of which he's facing so stressed working. So he keeps on just making barter exchange. You give me, I'll give you plywood, and in return of his debtors, for 1 CR debtors, he got 1 flat, because even the builder line is facing problem. So he supplied furniture worth 1 CR. In return of it, he got 1 flat, and he's sitting with the flat, and he did not have any money for working on his business. So that's how SMEs are facing really major problems.
You have your ear on the ground, and you really gave us an example as well. Is there anyone here who differs with this opinion or what he just spoke about? You spoke of long-term benefits as well coming in from demonetization. Do you think by and large, and if you could pass the mic around, anyone's free to answer, that the idea of demonetization was correct, but its implementation was poor?
No, I think that the idea was perfectly okay. Implementation was also pretty good, considering that we are talking about 130, 1.3 crore people here.
Yeah.
Now, the point that he was trying to make is most of the country, if you look at the small and medium businesses, the people who have the shops on the street, now they collect taxes, but they never deposit those taxes to the government. I think with what demonetization has done is that they have tried to put a huge amount of challenge in front of them in trying to avoid not paying taxes. Now, demonetization along with the GST, and this has definitely tried to improve the way we do business in India. Okay, whether it is a furniture retail or whether it is any other retail, even the Kirana store, they never pay taxes.
So the
Today they are
intent
paying
was
taxes.
good,
And
yeah.
that's a great inclusion in terms of the tax-based economy that the country is going through.
Okay, divergent views, a debate building up. I want to take this forward. I will come to you, but for now, we just take a quick break. Do stay with us. This is Budget on Campus. We're at the SP Jain School of Global Management in Mumbai. Lots more as to what to expect on the 1st of February. Come right back. Welcome back. This is Budget on Campus. I'm at the SP Jain School of Global Management, getting a pulse as to what they want to hear from the Finance Minister in the upcoming budget. We're in conversation with the students as well as the faculty members. Let's take it across to the backbenchers as well and find out what they want to hear. Go ahead.
Yeah. I'm Jivitesh Sharma, a student at an undergrad student at the Bachelor of Data Science program here at SP Jain. On a personal level, I'd like the government to increase expenditure on urban transportation and urban transit systems that make the commute within the city much easier for students. As already mentioned by other people here, that this is a populist budget, but that doesn't mean it's not going to be growth oriented, a growth oriented budget. So looking at, apart from my personal views on the government making more expenditure on urban transport systems, I also feel that the income tax limit should be increased from 2.5 lakhs to 5 lakhs. That would give more disposable income to the common man or Aam Aadmi, which would definitely help in boosting the growth. Apart from that, both the fiscal and current account deficit targets should be met. And yeah, that's all I'd like to say about the budget.
Easy peasy. Let's hope that really happens. But of course, yeah, expectations are riding high with respect to the fiscal and current account deficit. You spoke about the income tax slabs. That is something that they want to hear. And I'm glad that you brought up transport as well. Go ahead. What do you want to hear?
Yeah, hi. My name is Sunny Duggal. I'm an alum of SP Jain School of Global Management. So as the Finance Minister has said that he's ready to sacrifice fiscal discipline, you know, for boosting economic growth recently. So I think in terms of measures to be taken by the government, one would be towards the rural sector, definitely. Maybe they can introduce a free crop insurance, and recently we have seen that, you know, the state elections, which was lost, that was one of the major reasons wherein that can be brought into the budget. Secondly, I think government has done a good job, you know, in curbing or capping the cash transactions and bringing in the GST. If you see GST and indirect taxes, if you see data mining can be done, and you know the multiplier effect can be brought into the picture, wherein the direct tax base could be increased, wherein from the indirect taxes they can bring in the direct tax SSEs as well. So that is one more point which I think. And social and public infrastructure spending should be high, and I think government should be given a second term as well to, you know, deliver the goods as well.
Yeah.
So, yeah.
I saw a lot of nodding when there was, you know, schemes for social infrastructure improving. Do you concur with that?
Yes, for sure.
Yeah.
And something that else also I want to bring up is, you know, so I belong to the transport industry, you know, and we operate a few trailers across India. And the challenges that we face is that the government has more focus in terms of the benefits for the exporters. You know, there hasn't been a lot of, although I would say there has been a lot of development in terms of infrastructure in India, but I feel that, you know, the transporters, in terms of the GST regime, you know, a lot of the 12% GST which is being, which has recently been started, and a lot of customers are not, you know, agreeing to those norms. So I feel there should be some standardization in terms of...
is there a clamor for standardization when it comes to the GST rates for the sector?
Yes, there is,
Okay.
because initially it was the GST was, I mean, they had an option of having a reverse input
Right.
that the buyers, the end users could take at
Right.
5%. And then there was a change to 12%, which could be transferred by a transporter to the end user. So that is something which is,
Okay.
you know, a challenge for the industry, I would say.
Okay, so we brought up transport. We've covered that in great detail. If you could pass the mic on to him, because you know the startup industry has their ear close to the ground. They want to hear some, you know, measures being doled out. And to be honest, the Prime Minister has been very optimistic about, you know, the space as a whole, boosting startups. Do you like what you've heard so far, and what do you expect?
See, the vision and the intent is fantastic, no question about it. But having said that, a couple of gentlemen here spoke about the transport industry. So very recently, in fact, as on yesterday, the Ministry of Civil Aviation had the Global Aviation Summit here in Mumbai. And what we saw was a really futuristic roadmap where even the Honorable Minister spoke about the use of air taxis. So one theme that this government has been sort of doing has sort of celebrated over the past few years was Digital India and Startup India. So what will be interesting to note is how many startups are actually qualifying for Startup India and availing those tax benefits. Is it really happening? What are those real numbers? Because right now, fourth generation technologies like drones, blockchain, IoT, they're given a lot of prominence by this government. But every technology startup in India, and I can speak since I've been a part of one, is the two basic problems that they face are finance and compliance. So it's great that we have compliance. You know, we have a policy in place that is very future looking. But in terms of availing tax benefits for these startups, is there something that the government can do to maybe give them a tax holiday?
The tax benefits, you know, the startup community has been up in arms about all that's been going on
Especially
there. So that's a contentious, the angel taxation.
Exactly, especially the angel taxation. But of course,
everyone's nodding.
Yeah, so we've heard some positive news on that. At least, you know, hopefully it will realize as a result of this budget.
If you could pass the mic on, sir, you also expect something on that front. Is that what you want to hear?
My name is Haresh Jani. I am a practicing company secretary and corporate consultancy and startup consultancy is my main foray. 2 days back, a DIPP came out with a circular relating to angel tax relaxation. However, if you look at the section 56 of Income Tax Act subsection 2, clause 7b, which prescribes the taxing of the angel tax, which regime was introduced, I think, 13-14 assessment year onward. Prior to that, there was nothing like angel tax. So that section specifies only money received by Indian startups from residents, and non-residents are exempted. That differentiation should be removed. First of all, startups, whosoever is the startup promoters, they put their entire life behind promoting startups, development, technology, and if they get the valuation, it is being taxed. And if they fail, out of, say, 10 startups, hardly 1 or 2 succeeds. So what is there for them? There is no insurance, nothing like that. Why there should be tax? That regime was introduced in 1340, it should be removed, actually.
Okay. If you could pass the mic on that side. So clearly talking about corporate tax, that is something that needs to be reduced, as well as for the startup community. Go ahead. What do you want?
My name is Gautam Sadrangani. I'm a student at SP Jain pursuing data science. My thoughts about the budget 2019 is I would like to see more of infrastructural development. Currently in major cities, there has been a lot of urban migration because people look for opportunities and better lifestyle. But if there would have been expansion of infrastructure and further opportunities in outer cities also, there would have been a better proper population control in cities because it won't be so much congested. Same goes for public transports. Well, the public transports are never in condition that anyone would like to travel in. That's why there's a lot of private vehicles and people wouldn't want to travel.
Yeah, but to the credit, we are seeing things like the metro, etc. Although that's put the city in an absolute tizzy right now, but it takes time. Something on the startup front that you would like to see, infrastructure?
Speaking of infrastructure, I hope the government brings in something for the electric vehicle industry.
They are doing a lot on that.
Yeah, I think the FAME scheme, which was implemented in 2015, they had extended it twice. And they're still in the phase 1, I suppose. And I hope they proceed to the phase 2 and also bring in some funds for the infrastructure as well.
He's talking about how you know, the aviation sector can thrive, but it's also very contingent on what's been going on with crude oil prices.
Yes, and I think it would be unfair to say that the government has done nothing for the aviation industry, particularly the recent launch of the Udan scheme is actually making, it is expanding the availability of flights in our rural areas, and it's already taken off in some of our regions, particularly those regions which were not serviced in the past. But I'd just like to come back to a question you raised right at the beginning of this. How would we rank our economic performance.
Yes.
And I would actually put it around 7.5,
Why is that?
which is actually matches with the growth rate which we have achieved in the last year, and would have been 8 had demonetization not kicked in. Because some of the achievements of the government these days, it's fashionable to deride them as not being effective. Now, demonetization may have failed in some ways, but it certainly brought in unaccounted money back to the banking system. It also drove a lot of our rural folks into the digital economy by forcing them to take, use credit cards, open bank accounts, whose long-term impacts for this economy are only going to be very, very positive. And similarly, who could have imagined that a country like ours could have a unified single tax system, which GST has done? Again, the dividends of that will come perhaps beyond this government's tenure, but I think the budget which they'll present this year will be something which will make our economy grow at an 8+% rate, and I'm looking forward to some of the things the finance minister will do in this budget.
And you know where to tune in, sir. It's going to be on ET Now, where you can look forward to that interaction. I'm so glad we really got a pulse, because there's been divergent opinions. There's been a lot of expectations from different sectors: corporate tax, individual income tax slabs, aviation sector, infrastructure, transport. We spoke about it all. So we clearly got a heads up as to what the expectation is from the finance minister in Budget 2019. With that, we come to an end of this edition of Budget on Campus. Thanks for watching.